Again, my name is Brent Ives, and those are my initials. And I guess I don't have my last name up there, but I'd be happy to hand out business cards if that'll help you. And if any of you would like to contact me after. And what we're trying to do tonight is what these public meetings are about, is to gain some perspective and input from the public, naturally, for the board as they look at an upcoming strategic planning meeting. So the board in July will gather and they'll talk about the future of the district in all the areas, and you can see the areas over here. Those are the areas that are within the mission right now. And so they'll talk about all of those, but they may not have action items or necessary strategic planning out into the future with all of them, but some of them they may. And so we have to what we want to do is open it up and talk about anything that the public wants to talk about within that, or even should the mission be different or changed or larger or smaller. All those things are on the table tonight. But so the input that we get tonight will go forward to the board in their workshop in July, which will also be a public workshop, so the board will allow the public to engage in. Again, I'm Brent Ives. This is Kristen Lee Swenson, and she's my associate here, and we work together to try to bring these public meetings together. So tonight what we'll do is we'll talk about what strategic planning is in our terms, and it can vary. Strategic planning can be different for one agency versus another. And my firm, BHI, has been doing this for about 15 years. We've done nearly 100 strategic plans in the state. We've done them up and down here, Palmdale, and Newhall, and Phelan, and around this area as well. And all of them are a little different because naturally all of them have different challenges and opportunities out in front of them. But we'll talk also tonight about what an overview of the plan is intended to achieve, an outline of the process, and how it will proceed, and if you choose, how you will fit in. And then how do opportunities for parks and recreation. I know the ad that went out and a lot of talk, at least from what we have understood, is there's a lot of talk about what is that parks and recreation mission in the district, and how is that being fulfilled, or how is that not being fulfilled, going unfulfilled perhaps. And so we'll talk about that, then get your perspective on the future of the district, and especially, again, as it relates to parks and recreation. This is a schematic of a generalized strategic plan. You note there's mission up there, and mission is why an agency exists. Vision is where it wants to go, how it's going to look out into the future. Values are what the values of the community as reflected in the board. The whole idea and the way this works is, the public agencies and the way they work is that when the voters vote for board members, or for a council, or for any elected office, that they that are elected are to represent the values of the community by virtue of the fact that they are elected. And so the values of the community are something that get expressed hopefully through your board, and then we get input, and that's kind of where we're at right now, and that comes together into a number of different ways that you can organize a strategic plan. This is just a sample way of organizing a strategic plan. And then you hope that you can come out with, if it's a 5-year plan, then you can come out with yearly work plans that everyone can see on how it's going to get implemented. We really have a strong belief, and I served on a board for 23 years myself. I was the mayor of Tracy for 8 years and on the city council there for 14 other years. And so one of the things I really found was important is that you can do all this work, but if you don't have an implementation plan that as an elected official that you could follow and see to it that things are actually going to get done, then it kind of doesn't really mean as much. It's just a concept, not a really a real plan to get something done. And so our model has always been to make sure that, yes, we do the vision thing. We try to include the public as much as we can. We try to make sure that the board thinks through the broad picture of what should the vision of the community be. And then we say, okay, how are we going to implement it? And staff is usually very informative in terms of, well, if this is where you want to go, this is how you get there. So the board's doing their work in determining a vision, and the staff is doing their work in applying their good professional opinion on how to get things done. And that's where these goals and actions and initiatives are. And for instance, perhaps in Rosamond, one of these areas here might be Parks and Recreation. And that's a lot of the reason why we think we're here, is that there's questions around the Parks and Recreation future for the community. So you are going to be kind of the beginning group on how to at least put some things on paper that the board can look at and consider came from the public relative to that, and anything else that's, excuse my laser here, anything else that's within the mission. We'll talk a little bit about mission as well. So we'll read the mission statement, and I'll ask you what you think of it, and you can give input to the board through us as well. So there's that mission statement again. Mission statement should express why an agency exists. That's what a mission is. What's its purpose, and why does the public's money get raked into a pile for them to spend? What are the reasons? Well, those mission pieces right there are why this CSD was set up. The vision is say, okay, well, where do you want to take it? Where do you need to take it? What kinds of things do you need to get done? What kinds of things should get considered, and what opportunities and perhaps what challenges might there be out in the future that you might need to respect as you look out into the future. And so once you decide, okay, here's where we want to go, then you start binning them, or you start organizing a plan to actually get it done. And that's what, that should say R. There should be an R there. Not an ode map, that's a road map. Sorry. And so you see, but right in here is where you get the real bottom line to any plan. Is if you don't know, if you don't actually plan on getting actions done, then it really doesn't matter. It's not a road map, but so that's why we really insist on that. And then you hope that it has a maintenance plan. Everything we believe, it's a tool. It's a tool to be able to look out in the future and do the things that a community needs. But things change, and as the course corrections that are necessary on a yearly basis, it's good for the board and the public to get together and say, are we on track? Are we getting the things done that really need to get done? Any questions, any thoughts yet? All right. Stop me anytime, it's okay. So why a strategic plan? Well, it allows for clarity, clarity into the future, a direction for the agency. It also promotes that everything that's done within the district can be linked to the mission. And in all reality, what good is a mission unless, and remember, the public's money gets raked, I use that analogy a lot, gets raked into a pile, because I can understand it, for those reasons, and only those reasons. And so that's really important. Now, it turns out that more money, as you all know, gets raked into a pile for water and sewer than does Parks and Rec and Graffiti and streetlights. But you know, a lot of you've been around for a long time here. You know how a lot of this stuff happens. And you've been through some things recently with streetlights. You've been there have been some challenges, they said, with graffiti as well. But do you think they think they've got that pretty much in hand? Water's always the big dog. It seems like water's always a challenge for lots of our clients and lots of agencies up and down the state. But you want to have clarity, and so you need to talk about it, you need to get input, and that's what we're here for. So it promotes everything that's done, it is linked to that mission. Then it asks the agency leaders to get their collective heads together. And that's an important part. I mean, there are nearly 3,000 special districts in California. And not many of them really do that, where they get their head together and together think about the future. Now, they do it on a piece-by-piece, action item kind of basis every month as they meet. But to set themselves aside and really take a comprehensive look at the future is what we ask for them to do. And it provides a basis and a test for future agency initiatives. It allows for the agencies to proactively plan around the challenges and opportunities. And I submit that your community, just like everyone else's community, has challenges and has some opportunities. And then it helps drive the staff and projects and actions like I said earlier. It's good to keep things organized. And the organization, they've got to play their role, staff's got to play their role, but the public needs to inform that. And so that's why we have these meetings, is to give the board some perspective again. So who should develop one? Well, the board, the decision makers should develop a strategic plan, informed by the public, but gather interested stakeholders, the public, other agencies, employees. We spoke to some employees this morning. Other agencies, your staff talks to a lot and plans together with them. We heard of different kinds of partnerships that are formed at the school district, the county. A lot of agencies come together to make things happen. Anytime something really happens in the public sector, it's because there have been generally some partnering, some discussions, a lot of planning that goes into getting something actually done and on the ground. And things don't happen overnight. As much as we love for them to, they just don't. So almost any time something happens and it gets constructed or completed, it's because there's been a lot of work that somebody's put in to make that happen. And it includes this kind of thing. And then the board sets direction through a visioning process, and that's the workshop I talked about in July. And then management and staff will propose that implementation, and then the agency leadership team, which is the team that you all you've elected, they've hired, and that whole team is a leadership team revisited every year. So what we'd like to get from you tonight, as I said, the board will be spending time on this, so help them with perspective from you. You all are the owners of this. Everything in here, from the carpet to the parking lot, you own. Fractional ownership, yes, but you own it. And they need your perspective. So what are your interests and concerns, and what are your ideas for the district into the foreseeable future that are important? What potential risks and opportunities do you see? Perspective for the board, again, as they plan. And we start with the mission statement. So remember I told you we get to look at the mission statement, and some of you certainly have seen this before, but here it is. Remember what I said about mission statement. Mission statement is why we exist as an organization, why this place exists. And so here it is. We enhance the quality of life in the community by providing the essential services of safe drinking water, treatment and disposal of sewage, and other funded services in an environmentally effective and fiscally responsible manner. So we would like to get your input on what is that to you. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Does it have weasel words in it? Does it not make sense? Or is it just right? And there's probably lots of space in between. So this is where you get to talk a little bit. So please help us here to give the board some perspective on that statement.
Okay, well, I know they provide drinking water and sewer. That's their mission, as well as the lights. That's what's on our bill.
Yeah.
Okay, they've taken these additional things on, Parks and Recreation and Graffiti. Graffiti was done by this little old lady for the longest time. When she moved, she handed the stuff over to them. She did it out of her own heart and some donations. So I don't know that the district has actively set aside any money for this, but it certainly isn't raised in our bill, as well as the Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, it probably comes out of that piece of money that's discretionary for the board to spend on different things, and that's probably one of them. So they do spend money on that. They don't spend I don't know how much, but it's certainly something we can ask them. But should that be explicit up here? Should graffiti be in there? Graffiti removal? Or?
Well, I certainly appreciate it, but it's a service that it's not usually associated with a water district. It's, you know, you have those two
Right.
main things, water and sewer, all these other things are added. And
Yeah, well, and this is a community services district, so they can add a lot of things into their
well, that's the point is,
charter
unless you
language.
have the money to do those, you're gonna short sight or take money from these other things, so. And so, is that what they're driving at? They wanna, unless they get some dedicated funds, how can you do those?
Like, you mean these two, or all three of them, really, now?
Yeah, all
I
three.
mean, we know water and sewer have rates associated with them, right?
And
You
the
pay-
streetlights, there's a light.
And
there's a
street,
light-
that's right,
there's a
streetlights.
The
light.
streetlight's been a problem. They lost money.
Yeah, and so now they.
So why are we supporting anything that loses money?
Well, since you've been here a long time, you know they try to get, people did take into them that they did want
Well,
lights.
for years, they were doing nothing but losing money, they claim, on the
Well,
streetlights.
Okay, so now we're up to date.
So now we're paying by districts.
Yeah.
Okay,
Some are-
now we wanna fund parks and recs that we know is losing, if that park over there only brings in 90,000 a year, why are we supporting 200 and something thousand to maintain the park and swimming pool? It's a loser. And we have parks through the county.
No, they haven't given us much money in a long time.
Well, the county gives you money, but it's as was pointed out, it's not much, it's not as much as necessary to even
Well,
take
they
care
sure
of.
do maintain Bakersfield pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
That should be.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And maybe the people need to speak up a little louder,
That too.
you know, hold them to the fire. Because the way they misrepresented us with our tax dollars being spent not doing nothing was ridiculous. And the way they're maintaining around the neighborhood for our $100 and something a year taxes. Okay, this is the county, Parks and Recs.
County park. Thank you.
They're misrepresenting this because it's been mismaintained and it's fallen apart, and now they're playing catch up. And the park, you know, county was smart when they quick deeded the pole over, or the park over here to RCSD. They unloaded that pink elephant on them.
It
Yeah,
is.
well, you didn't have to.
And there's
tell
only a
them.
few districts paying for
Didn't
that
have to
park.
make that
And the rest of these people in the Rosamond community, they're not paying it. And we're mighty tired of paying the bill.
Well, that's.
So if it's gonna be
that's what
losing, close it.
If it loses, close it. That's
Yes.
your, yeah, I got it.
Or.
And if they wanna reopen it, then it has to be the whole community,
Well-
not the 4 communities paying, or 4 little districts paying for it.
Right, so that's on the table, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to they need to put a thing on the ballot that, the city of Rosamond, you wanna increase tax, and here's what it's gonna support.
You know, the people of West Park paid to have it filled in, and had to pay for the couple years that the county kept it running, the swimming pool.
Yeah,
Okay, then we're still paying the full lion's share, the West Park people, okay? When they dug the pool up and uncapped it and then brought it back to a swimming pool again.
yeah.
But the rest of the community isn't paying that fee, other than a couple of districts.
We're getting it. Thank you.
And you're the consulting firm,
We're the consulting.
we're the
firm.
taxpayers.
Yes, I know that. And we're gonna, this goes directly to the board. They're gonna have a planning meeting in July, and that's an open public meeting, and this will be there, but you can be there too, at that meeting. So it's an open meeting.
Why are we paying a consulting firm to do what the manager should be doing anyway, as a manager?
I was asked to come in and help. That's something your board's gonna have.
For a year and a half, the man's been here, he's supposed to be managing. Should have a plan.
What's his name?
Ron Smith. See the center picture right there?
Yeah,
Ty?
this guy,
Ron Smith,
that's your manager.
he's the manager.
And these are your board members. You probably know all your
Yep.
board members. You
So
may
they
not.
change on elections.
And we have our meeting next Tuesday night here.
Yeah,
Anybody like to come and voice their opinions like we do?
sure.
Nobody shows up to me and my partner.
But they do it they meet monthly?
They meet twice a month,
Twice a month.
first and third Tuesday.
Okay. And those are open public meetings, and as you point out, you guys show up, and they need to hear from you, because they're elected to serve you.
Right.
And your municipal advisory committee, the RMAC, RMAC,
RMAC,
that advises the county supervisor, right? So that's a via for your communications as well. All those things are set up, or they're organized to take input. They should take input.
Cal City. You know.
So, more about the mission statement. I mean, what can we tell the board relative to this?
Okay, so
We told them, I mean, we've taken a lot of notes, but
on the mission for water, I'm representing the Rosamond Hills home up there on Sierra Highway. And we actually put in piping to receive gray water. And they haven't provided that. I'd like to see that go forward.
You've got the
Purple pipe, we've got the
So
purple
you're-
pipe.
yeah.
So I definitely want that in the strategic plan, that should be provided. And that would,
Yeah, that kind of splits between how you treat sewer,
they put all
wastewater.
they put all that stuff into getting that done for the
Yeah.
pipe. And then they just continued it because it was costing them and they weren't using it. So, it should have been a great thing when we were in the drought.
So what are they doing with the treated water from the sewage treatment plant?
Well, they're not treating it to that level anymore. They shut down their, what's called tertiary, the third level of
Yeah.
treatment. And that's shut down now. And so the rest of it gets, my understanding is it gets distributed, land applied, and it just evaporates or percolates, one or the other.
Evaporation ponds.
It's evaporation.
what was that,
So what-
2.4 million, and they opened that
Yeah,
up?
we just had to have that sewage treatment plant.
2.4.
It
I
would have
have a
been very
question on
beneficial though
sewage.
if it had been
Yes, sir.
done.
What will it cost them to I mean, they never got the treatment plant certified in the beginning, but what would it cost now to try to get that recertified? How many millions?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that, sir. I'm sorry. But we could put it on there and say,
You
look.
don't even have to put it on there. I'm just asking the question because it'll be in probably over $10 million to probably do that.
I do want it on there.
Yeah,
I'm here
it
to
doesn't hurt
voice
to
my
have it.
opinion.
And,
I do want it
because
on
you
there,
guys-
and I wanna know how much it
You're
is
one
to
of the
turn it
only
back in.
agencies that have the purple pipe ran to your facility.
Right, but they're building lots of other things around here other than that, and so we need to get ready for it. If we have another drought,
Oh, no.
hey, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great to have that in
You
place.
got a company out there right now, great,
Yep.
sprinklers going on in the field, and we didn't get no purple pipe, that means we ain't got good drinking water.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
It's doing dirt.
That's right.
Irrigating,
Right now.
for dust control or for grading.
For the last 10 years, a lot of public agencies have done that recycled water
Right.
treatment, the tertiary, and some of them have customers and some of them don't, but the backbone or the taking that water and distributing it out is a tricky business, and I think that's, but you were actually a customer, so I
Well, not
get,
only that though, is there'd be a lot more customers here. The parks could use this, instead of using drinking water too. So there's many uses for this, especially in a drought situation, which we've just been in and sort of still recovering from. And it's forward thinking. That is our main mission, water and sewer. That is
That's
Rosamond
what we're
Community
in
Service
business
District.
for.
That's
This
what we are in
facility.
Then they
business.
ventured into this
That's
other
the
stuff
driving
over the
force
years.
for this
Yes.
group here.
well, when the district was formed, it was formed under CSD law, and
Yeah.
evidently, your charter language for RCSD includes those things. That's what, and so it doesn't include that they'll be necessarily funded. Water and sewer have to fund because they're what everyone understands as essential
That's the backbone.
services. The others, and my understanding is at that time, there was another, another measure just down from it that would have funded in some respects Parks and Rec, but that failed. So the organization of the CSD passed, but the funding of Parks and Rec failed.
We got this good, beautiful building, plus we own this other building over on 25th Street, Now, I'm sure this beautiful building here wasn't free.
No?
So where was, and now we got a unionized shop, we got nice vehicles out there, where was all our money going? So, I mean, is the money from water and sewer gonna be allowed to be transferred to Parks and Recs? And vice versa in the graffiti and street lighting, what?
I think the graffiti is a grant, isn't it?
Graffiti, there are grants for graffiti, and I know that they do utilize that. I don't think they use much what's called ad valorem money on graffiti, but they may use some of that because it's discretionary. It's not specific. It comes through a different path than water and sewer, which are rate-based, and so you've got to, you're supposed to be real careful with.
I want the money just to go to water and sewer.
Fair enough.
If I pay streetlights, I want it to go to streetlight, okay?
Right.
And I'm paying for a
yes.
park and a swimming pool, and I've been paying for 22 years,
Mm-hmm.
and this place hasn't paid a penny, okay? But they're shifting money around, you know, and they could say, well, we've been supporting it. Hey, if it's losing, close it, you know?
Yeah, that's
I
certainly
understand
one
we
of the
need a
options.
park, okay, but we have a county park on the other side of
Mm-hmm.
town, okay? And if the people in this community would just get up and tell the county what to do, it would be changed, you know?
So I'm not saying that those items, parks and rec and graffiti shouldn't be covered, but there should be a source of money directly for those items.
Exactly.
It used to come. there was
Dedicated
some-
money.
it used to be- And so unless they go to the voters and ask for an increase, like we did the library
Right.
last year, an 1/8 of a cent tax to fund those things, I don't think it should be on the forefront and trying to take money from the water and sewer to pay for those. So unless we get a different source of funds or an increase of funds.
I mean, they got grant money for new meters, so that they can have that, those new smart meters? Well, we all know what smart meters are gonna do to us. They're gonna start billing you based on the time of day you're utilizing your water. You know it, and I know it, okay? And that's what they're gonna do. But they're only putting them in because they got grant money. You know,
Yeah.
and it's another way of ripping off the people.
One of the things I know is if they borrowed money from the water sewer funds for Parks and Rec, it is absolutely supposed to be a loan, because that money's not supposed to cross without a very specific plan to pay it back. Now, so at some point in time, at some rate, that
But
money needs
when
to
you're
start
borrowing
coming
from
back.
yourself, you know,
Yeah.
you're robbing from yourself.
And as a community, it is nice to have parks and recreation and
It is.
have
How much is kind of a big question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the graffiti does need to be removed. It
But
deteriorates,
when
it
you're part
detracts
of the
from our
community that's
community.
paying for the parks and recs, and the majority of the community isn't,
Yeah.
okay?
There's not equity there, and
Right.
that would be something that would have to be worked if indeed Parks and Rec ever goes to the ballot, then people would have to understand that as part of the project. Everybody would pay the same,
Yes.
and when you pay, these
And
are
the
the things you
consequences,
get.
if it doesn't pass, then it closes. And West Park people are off the hook, and then we go down to the normal county park fee,
Could very well be.
which, $15-20 a year, I think it is, maybe?
And it's up to
Fair enough.
us to talk to our representatives in Bakersfield, to say, listen, you need to fund this a little bit better than what you're doing. So, and it can be done. I worked with them a lot, sending emails for them to fix that library. And I gotta tell you, it was very effective, so.
Well, that's a good story. I mean, when you can, it's important for our electeds and those that work for the electeds to listen and do what they can. And look, that's a conversation. And if it gets somewhere, it's a great thing. I mean, and sometimes it works out better than
And
others.
when they did something wonderful, I made sure they heard about that too. You can't just always
It's
be
only
negative.
fair, yeah.
You gotta give some good stuff too.
It's only fair. So are we saying, along with a lot of these things, that you would like for that to be more explicit in terms of what's really in the mission?
Well,
See, right now it says other funded services, which is the term that collects. It says, in fact, if it's not funded, it may not be in our mission.
Well, what's funded is drinking water, sewage, and our lights, street lights
Street lights.
to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we are paying for.
Yep.
This other stuff is, we'd like to see that done, but there needs to have a source of funds.
Fair enough.
And you can't be taken from one to.
And it needs to be equity across the.
I applaud what you just said.
Excellent, okay. Well, let's move on from mission And there you go, there it is, the questions for you regarding those, we're already talking about those. So, again, these things normally jump to, let's just get to the bottom line and talk about what really needs to be done. You've already talked about thoughts and ideas and cautions and things that you have that from your perspective are important for the board to know. See, we oftentimes think that because they're elected, well, some people think that they've got the answers or that staff has the answers, but in all reality, again, as I told you, I sat up there, not there, but in my community for 23 years, and I can tell you that I advise all elected to don't make up your mind until you've heard from the public, because when somebody comes up to this podium, they have a perspective that I and you, staff, may not have thought of. And over my 23 years, we got long into the process. There were 2 or 3 times that we all looked at each other and said, didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Stop the presses, start over, relaunch, integrate that idea, that thought, that caution, that concern. And so that's important for you that attend the meetings, for those of you that are here tonight, to give this input to them. They collectively don't know it all. They know a lot, they work on it, they've committed a certain amount of their time, but it belongs to you, and so your perspective is important. So, how could this effort affect your interests or concerns? And I think, sir, you brought up the disequity of the, I don't know if disequity is a word, the inequity of the rates, or how much you're paying and things like
There should
that.
be a uniform park fee for Rosamond community.
And there could be, that would have to go to ballot, of course, and yeah, that's something I think we're gonna talk about. So,
My
here it is.
understanding though is there is amount that was set aside for
Supposedly we
taking
could
care of some landscaping with West Park, and I know they took that over, so there is some money that now is allocated for that.
KV left.
And there is some money that was allocated for the park at one, or the swimming at one point. So I'd like to know if those actually did get transferred. And there's a small amount, but they're using this amount.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing this comment, then I'll let you go ahead. Which amount that you said you?
I think there is an amount associated with
Landscaping?
West Park
West Park.
that was associated with landscaping. And I
West
think-
Park Landscaping.
I think the district has
Question
taken that
mark.
over as
Was-
part of their duties, because
Okay.
I've seen those guys cleaning that up. So there was some money
Are
associated.
these guys?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
they had a contract.
For a couple of years, RCSD took over the landscaping around West Park, and then
Okay.
they turned it back over to county.
Recently?
Right.
Okay.
And then county has subcontracted Sharper Image out of Cal City.
Cal City's-
They're maintaining it now,
To a landscape firm?
landscaping
Yeah,
firm.
yeah, yeah.
And that's in the last year.
All right, so we
But
could
neither
confirm that.
neither one of the major parties maintained it properly, so it was misuse of our tax dollars.
A lot of bushes coming out, nothing's being replaced.
Water lines tore up. All you have to do is drive around West Park or walk around the best
You
way.
see.
You get a bird's eye view.
So the funds that were allocated to doesn't seem it was being used correctly for that, so that's one of those things. If it was money that was allocated, that's what it should have been used for, and not, let it go down the drain.
Yeah, I don't know how that money trail follows, but I think.
And what we found out the past year about the West Park or the
I see.
Williford Park, used to be
Yeah.
called West Park, the park. And
Oh, that's
now it's
West.
called Williford Park, Jim Williford Park, which
That
is
straightens it
West
up.
Park.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Makes sense, West Park.
Yeah. There's supposedly 3 or 4 areas besides just West Park that pays into that, pay a higher tax.
We pay.
Is that a
120,
benefit
they pay-
assessment district perhaps, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Not those 3 or 4 newer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that could have been layered onto the new
Right.
homes when they were built as
Right.
development fees or an assessment
I think
district.
the Beazer Homes is one of the groups, and they got like 2 different tracks.
And they have a
over here.
school assessment as well, that
And
could
so
have been
those
on the new
folks have
homes.
paid up, so those things should be covered rightfully. And if we're gonna go further than that, then it needs to be taxed to everybody, not just those folks, so.
And I think that is a big part of why we're involved why we were asked to be involved, is to help the community think through the Parks and Rec issue. Or opportunity, it depends on how you look at it. But the things to keep in mind that we've already heard is equity is important. If you're going to do anything, and if it's going to be in our mission, then let us decide to pay for it or not. Is that what?
Well,
And pay for it correctly,
Pay
because
for
they
it
don't
correctly.
even understand what maintenance costs.
yeah,
I run the school district,
That's right, you do understand.
and I can tell you, they don't understand what it costs to maintain things.
right.
And it's, yeah.
And
a
from this
pool is
office, I was told that they get $90-something a year, or
90,000.
900, or not,
90,000.
90,000,
Yes.
excuse me, from the county to run Willowford Park. And that's the pool and the landscaping around the park,
Yes.
okay? But it costs close to $250,000
So, yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
3
to do it. So
Absolutely.
they're roughly 100,000+ upside down every year.
So the
It
solution.
doesn't make sense.
There's two solutions, right? There's one is let's talk about either designing that park fee so everyone can uniformly pay it and take care of the pool and pay back the water and sewer fund and do it right.
So wait a minute, I have a question. You say to pay back the water and sewer fund.
Yeah, if there is indeed a negative balance there. In other words, if they have
There
borrowed.
definitely is gonna be a negative
Yeah,
balance
it's
there.
over a
I
million.
don't know the
See-
specifics, so I'm not saying.
You know,
But I understand that
as a
to be
person
true.
from the, you know, the area that's been paying the lion's share, we should be off the hook. We shouldn't have to pay any more taxes for a
I see.
while, until it balances out with the rest of the community.
I see.
Yeah, because that park has been an open park since I've lived here, 21+ years.
And it
Anybody
would
can go to that
stay,
park.
it's gonna stay. an
They can
open
use the
park.
basketball court, the tennis court,
Yeah,
you know, the big kitty litter box in the back, the kids area.
that wasn't the
If it wasn't for
original
milk, there wouldn't
intention.
have
I
been
think
new
it was
cement
gonna
around
be
it.
It was gonna be for the West Park Housing District,
Yeah.
yeah.
and probably a developer pays part.
Well, and we have the Rosamond Park, and there was an amount associated with that too. But that park's not being maintained really well by the county too, and I've actually talked to those fellows. And they've been reduced number of people, and they have like
Yes.
64 parks, and we get to see you once every 3 months.
Is that the one on Glendower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where United is now, who owns that one, but it
Well,
was.
the
a school
United is
district.
owned by the school
Well, the
district.
school district, so the school district's got that, so it's like, yeah, it's like,
So again, presuming that if it went to ballot with a figure and the vote was positive, then, and the rates were equalized in some manner, it would, and there were a negative balance in the sewer water, they would maybe perhaps get to pay that back in a more aggressive way. That being said, if they could normalize those balances correctly and then use the money that they collected every year to really do Willowford and maybe some other things, depending on what the community says. That's always the question is, okay, well, it would cost us this much to kind of do that, and that would mean this much to each of you every year. Well, if you want to do more, then it's going to cost a little more, and so those details would be something, is what we understand that we're going to work with the community to help. So there'd be 2 or 3 more community meetings specifically on that question. And that's why this last one is here, is what they've asked us to do is work through the strategic plan with the board, look at the things, there are some questions about water and how they're going to work out the adjudicated basin and how they're going to make up for all that drama. But another thrust area is certainly Parks and Rec, and as it relates to that, I think they're trying, my understanding is they're trying to solve that specific issue of the fact that they can't afford to do this $250K a year anymore. And so because they can't, what are they going to do? Well, one of the solutions is to get this thing kind of solved, but the beginning steps of getting this thing solved would be, does the community have the will to actually tax itself for the Parks and Rec, element.
And that really is the question.
Yep,
And if they say no, then you've got your answer and quit trying to.
that's right, quit futzing with it. It would be, that would be basic.
Till we step up as a group and say, yes, we would like to have some
Okay,
amenities
so
here.
then the next question would be, if they don't pass it,
Yes.
what would they do with it?
Yeah, well, that could be,
Because
that
we're,
could be,
we're on the hook,
yeah,
$120-something a year,
yeah.
taxes, and there's other areas besides West Park.
So what really happens if it doesn't
Yeah.
pass? Yeah, that's a good
You
point.
know, I called the county when they capped it and put the sand and blacktop on it. And I was told, well, we had to pay for the money for the couple of years that they operated it.
Uh-huh,
You know, so I can just imagine, you know, what it's gonna be.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
We're never probably gonna stop our taxes.
So, being clear about what would happen if such a question or such a initiative were not to pass. That would have to be part of the language, or it could be part of the language, saying, you do this, you get this, it costs this. If you don't, then it means this specifically, these specific things.
Yeah.
It's something that was still.
It's not to say that you can't keep trying either. I mean, Raleigh, how many times did we vote on getting that school bill before it finally passed? So.
Well, you know, if
Took 4 or 5
Mojave can have a
times.
water park, and we gave this up, the swimming pool, why couldn't the county get the property back? Let them be responsible. Because let me tell you, that's a sitting lawsuit over there. You got stumps that have been cut out, you got square boxes, the covers are missing. So if I had a little kid and I'm walking over there and that kid fell in there and broke an ankle, you know I'm gonna sue him.
It's bad.
Yeah. And we've told the board they need to get out there and walk the park and see what we're talking about.
Well, it's bad at the city park too. There's squirrels and the gophers, there's holes everywhere. It's like you can break an ankle real easy.
So we need to go to the RMAC meeting and raise hell about that one.
I got that on my list.
There you go.
That's what a MAC is for. It's a municipal advisory council, and it advises the county supervisor.
Well, don't forget to write to your supervisor, Mr. Schreiber.
Mr. what, Schreiner?
Okay, so we have water, I really appreciate your candor on the park. It was easy to get that out of you. You didn't mince any words. We know what you're thinking. That's a good thing.
I think they told you that's gonna be a main issue too.
Yeah, they
I
did.
know they had to tell you.
Of course, yeah, they were talking about it all day today.
Yeah.
And the board members, we're interviewing the board members individually,
It's
and we.
not new. This is.
No,
what's
this
going
is not
on.
new, it's just probably newer to us than it is to you, and so we get that. How to fix it and the specifics of the fix, and what you do if that fix doesn't pass is kind of the next stage of this. But it's after the board kind of takes that bigger picture of the strategic plan. So
So I'd
it'll be
like to,
part of it though,
I'd like to hone in on streetlights.
okay?
I was all in favor of keeping streetlights. It's a community thing. It's not an individual, this street or that street, to me.
Mm-hmm.
So now a couple streets down in my neighborhood have without lights. Edison came and removed the poles. But we have some nice solar power lights on Diamond Street, so we ought to be definitely looking into putting solar out there where they took those out. And actually going that way, period. So I'd like to see that on your list of things.
So is there a lack of clarity on how the
Oh, no, we
streetlight
understood it.
districts
We
work?
understood it.
Everybody understands it,
Yeah.
it's just you haven't quite gotten to where you'd like.
We're not a community when it comes to the streetlights. I hate to say that.
It's
We're
one of those-
individual areas. We have zones where you
Yes.
pay a certain rate for your zone you're in.
Right.
Okay?
I distinctly remember doing that
Well,
with lighting the
truly,
landscape districts in our.
I didn't
And we're still
understand-
paying the $1 a month
I-
for the common areas, like the intersections
Sure.
and the 5 nice lights that are out across here.
And I truly did not understand why they changed that, because that's like, if we had an increase from Edison, says, hey, you know what, that 50 cents you're paying for a long time, that was a good deal. But the real rate should have been $5. Okay, I understand it, $5 it is. I would have voted for that. Well, I voted for it to keep my lights on anyway. But how they did this district, I don't know how they came to that, I don't even want to go into it, but it's like, we need to look at streetlights, because that is for just everybody in the community, not just this street and that street, so.
So it needs a relook community-wide?
Well, looking at using solar, so.
Okay,
it's-
more
there's
efficient ways
more
of
efficient way to
providing.
do that.
Well, is RCSD gonna do like the city of Lancaster and try to get into the street lighting maintenance program? I mean, if they don't have the manpower to do their job right now, and they got Parks and Recs up there, and they're not maintaining that one park. One park they're not maintaining, in my opinion.
I haven't.
How are they
heard-
gonna maintain streetlights?
I haven't heard that that's what they're planning on.
I'd love to see their strat plan.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Well,
Oh, we're doing their job, what they've been
No, no,
paid
no.
for?
No,
no,
they're
you're just providing
Input.
input to it.
We're inputting. and
Relative to street lighting.
Why are we paying for a manager?
What are
Why
you,
do we have a 5-man board up there?
I've worked for organizations too, and they have a full load, and so they have asked for people's input. So, and they
Right.
combine all those. I don't
Right.
see a problem with that. So,
Well, that's
He's
what we
here.
have board meetings for. They open it up for inputs.
so.
the idea
Yeah.
is to tie it all together.
Together, yeah.
I mean, he said to us in one of the meetings a couple months ago that he was working on his plan. I guess this is the answer to his working on it.
Don't
Have
know how
somebody
to
else
answer
write his
that
plan.
question.
Well, this is the community input for that plan,
Yep.
in case he missed anything.
And July is when
I don't think I
they
understand
come
that.
together
No,
and,
he missed anything.
Yeah. He just got a paper.
So is he gonna
instead.
present his plan in July?
no,
It's still a work in progress.
it's a work in progress, meaning, he doesn't, look, the board, this input, the input from staff and the board will, in their July meeting, assemble that plan. What are the important elements of it? And then thereafter is when he says, okay, here's how we're gonna handle each piece of the plan, and then they get a chance, and you all get a chance to look at it one last time, and they vote on it. Then it's a plan. And so he's got,
They vote on it.
they vote on it.
We just input. They
You-
vote.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha.
They're voted in office, and so it's
Gotcha.
incumbent on them, but it's also incumbent on them to listen. And so that's why we're trying to give them food for that listening
Right. Yeah.
job. Okay. So have we been, I guess I'm still not completely clear on what you want to tell them regarding streetlighting. And I don't know if there's one thing that you want to tell them. There may be several stories or positions you like. I think they've got it solved.
They can't even fix the lights at the park,
Yeah,
okay?
I know
They
all
can't
that.
even fix the lights at Williford Park.
My suspicion is when they did the districts, I think they think, okay, now some districts have lights and some don't, and some pay this and that. And I think they think that's the fix. But if it's not, then perhaps it's part of their strategy to get that, to make it as good as it can be for the community, but I don't know what to tell them quite yet. I don't know if we know what to put on the board.
Well, this is a strategic plan, and you're looking for short-term and long-term. Usually that's what a strategic plan does. And if we're putting all the things out there, I want to see streetlights in Rosamond covered by an economical path to do that, and solar seems the way to do it. We could have some
So
other ones.
Your comment is directly to, hey,
I agree
this
with
is a
her.
great idea, solar.
And if it's not gonna be solar, then they should go to the most economical
Yes.
bulbs,
Okay.
like the LED system.
Yeah.
Retro-
All right,
Anything
Like
that's gonna be
Caltrans is retroing,
Yeah,
you
Yep.
see the ramps and the
Yep.
off ramps.
yeah,
I got it. So it's more of an
Right.
efficiency energy usage thing
right.
than it is the way that
For
they're
the
covering.
community, and if it's
Fair
a
enough.
strategic plan, I think this could be interim what they've got right now, but if we're thinking forward, that's how we
It could be their next step in the strategy relative to
Yes,
the one thing that's on their mission called, the other
But
one
you know,
called streetlights.
one thing that I would love to see in the strat plan is that every area pays for its own. Okay, water pays for itself, sewer pays for itself, Parks and Recs pays for
Oh, I see
itself,
what you're
and not
saying.
being robbing the money, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden we got a loan that kicks in 10 years, and we all have to pay it back.
If all
You
the
know,
money's
So if
had,
they're gonna get in the street lighting business and buy everything back from Edison, that's gonna be a big chunk of change that they're gonna have to pay based
Yeah,
on what I read about Lancaster.
yeah, I don't think
Well,
that's what they're gonna
maybe do a
do.
little of both. You know, those who have Edison and we're already collecting, and those that don't, we have a special thing for that, or if you're looking for it, I mean, you know.
So, take the next step in this strategy and be, you know, show us how you're going to be economical and maybe trying to get a more,
And it could be more economical that we say, Edison, come get them all, we've got the plan now, and we're doing this.
Well, when you call up and there's a light out, it doesn't get fixed for 3 weeks.
So,
And then finally Edison does pull up and fix it. So,
fair enough. Sir, we're talking, for you and, we're talking about the different elements of the mission of this district and how, what the group feels about those pieces of mission. We spent a lot of time talking about Parks and Rec, and now we're talking a little more about streetlights, and there may be more. And so I'm asking the group what your input is. The board is going to meet in July again for a strategic planning meeting, and this input will be there for them.
I got a question. Did they have an old strat plan?
Yes.
And how does that compare to where we're going right tonight?
Well, there are going to be some elements that overlap. There are going to be, you know, there's probably going to, maybe some of the things that took longer, from what I know.
It'd be nice if we had that to compare, you know, because then we could see where the limb facts are.
I see, yeah.
'Cause
Right now, I know that their strategic plan that they've got right now doesn't say a word about Parks and Rec. It's just moot, it's just not there. There's more about water and what were the water concerns at the time. And water and since then, the basin's been adjudicated and there's limits that are set and how much you can draft from the aquifer. All those things, there's a lot going on there. So honestly, that changes a lot of things. The other thing is at the time that their wastewater, you were still running your tertiary treatment of your but that didn't mean that there were a tremendous amount of customers, and so that got to where it wasn't cost effective. So things have changed a lot just in the last 2 or 3 years, and so they've asked to just
a quick question. You're from the school district, right, sir?
I am.
Now, were you guys on board that you guys were gonna purchase the purple pipe water? Tertiary well?
We talked about it, but, I mean, there's only one trunk line that I know of that goes to a facility, and that goes to Rosamond Hills. And there's a trunk line that runs to Don Road, and there's a portion of the line that runs under the 14 freeway, and I believe it's at Patterson Road. Other than that, unless they have money to run the pipe, the tertiary water is gonna go directly into the evaporation ponds out there on Patterson.
and that's expensive water to evaporate, and so
That's
they've
right.
shut that down for now until they've got either a broad set of customers that can use that purple pipe water, and there are restrictions to how you can use it, or they either that or they've got one big user that comes in, or 3 or 4. Like I said,
The biggest employer in the city or the
Yeah,
community
school district.
is school district.
School district.
right.
well, and how do we get anything done? You go to the voters.
Mhm.
Because the
So,
solar farms are using millions and millions of gallons
Yes.
of water.
drinking water.
And they're being sold to by customers that are just pumping it out of the ground and making a fortune off of it.
Yeah, so, an excellent point. Yeah.
I don't know
Is
why
that
they-
a customer, a potential customer for that water?
They should be forced, if they're gonna build around here, they should be forced to buy it from us.
I see, yeah. That's an
Not
interesting,
going to private people and making them really, really rich.
That's why that purple pipe, if we had finished it a long time ago and gotten everything certified, would have been so good for this area.
Mhm.
So there is a need. I mean, if you're thinking
Yeah.
long range, this is a thing in our future that we need to have. So,
So
not
the
to say we're gonna be in a
So you're saying the
drought.
solar guys have got the well rights to some of these well
Not
rights?
just solar, private people are
they
pumping
buy,
millions of
they
gallons
buy
of
that
water
water
and
from
selling
private
it for
individuals.
a penny a gallon to the solar company, and they're making thousands and thousands of dollars. One was the person that used to be on board here.
Oh, that,
Yeah, I think we heard about that.
They had their own water trucks, they're out there running water.
And as I said earlier, the big challenge with recycled water is the distribution of it.
Right.
Because that doesn't necessarily, just because you put a plant in doesn't mean that
Right.
you have all that purple pipe in. Even if you do have the purple pipe in, the cost of that water, generally people aren't happy unless they get, they at least break even on the cost of that water. And right now, that's just expensive water. But public agencies can work together, and that's something that would be a strategic move to try to see if there isn't some if you'd like to put in a large solar complex in this area, then you're going to have to participate in this program. Perhaps, potentially.
Yeah, I agree, that should be there.
We wait much longer, they'll have it all done. We won't need it.
There's
Well,
still a lot of
all last year, what did we do? Watch your water, let the lawns go, and everybody did it. I cut way down. I flush the toilet twice a day and everything else.
I took my yard out.
Okay, now what? Now they're asking more money and they need more stuff done, and we did everything they asked us to do. And I'm still putting me in a second tier this time. My last paycheck, last time I got my bill, it went up. And I haven't changed nothing, but I'm paying more.
But if you have trees in your yard or any of the parks and stuff like that, when you start quit giving them water, they're gonna blow over, like it doesn't blow here, right? They're gonna blow over and they're gonna die and they're gonna get diseased, and actually those give us a lot of shade, so there's all kinds of impacts if we don't do
I know.
watering. And it
Cut
keeps
back
things
and they
cooler,
charge
yeah,
you more.
yeah,
But
so.
we watch these new construction sites, new home sites, running their sprinklers all the time, and that's drinking water.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's out of the adjudication amount, and how many millions of gallons are they using?
And this is the subdivision? Sir?
Yeah, they just broke ground yesterday, or today's
It's out
Thursday.
there right now, the
That's
water's on.
Monday or
And
Tuesday.
that could
Just
have
go,
been,
go up 35th,
that could have been a
Straight
purple
up.
Yeah, I
pipe
think I
taken
saw
over
that.
there too, you know?
right?
We could have forced
They have
that,
all the sprinklers on.
forced those issues.
For construction,
Well, they have to
they're
water
using-
it.
I think that's.
They're using
done.
drinking
They're
water.
irrigating for over excavation over
We
there.
only got one type of water, potable water here. So,
I get it, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I understand.
and that's where that purple pipe would have, solar water trucks would have had to go a mile or so to a hydrant, or an outlet, That would have been better than wasting good drinking treated water.
It's funny out here, they just put the system in right out here for trucks to come up and buy water that need it. Have you seen anybody out here buying it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see.
I don't see as much as there was before.
Or you're going down 30th a lot more.
These truck drivers are making $1,000 a day hauling free water to the solar companies.
So they have tanks. and-
We're the wrong business, you got a
Tanks.
truck?
They're making $1,000 a day,
7 days a week,
7 days a week.
Yeah.
I get it, yeah.
Airing our laundry here.
These things
Somebody's gotta do
are,
well.
these things are indeed strategic. They are indeed because they involve more than perhaps one agency. It means that there are relationships with those that are around you, whether it be another jurisdiction or it be the county, to change. For instance, this new subdivision, it's having to meet all the county requirements of planning. And those were set probably a while back, I'm guessing. And they're probably meeting all the requirements, but it was way back when, if there were a group 10 years ago sitting around like this and saying, we're advising county planning that these would be great kinds of forward-thinking things to do. Well, I submit that in 10 years, let's not look back and say we didn't at least put it on the table for these people to start that discussion, maybe with the county.
We gotta
maybe
draw
with the
that
school
line.
district.
We
Pardon
gotta
me?
stop it. We need the pipes, we need it finished, we need, we get to the tertiary water. We
Well,
spent all that money, there had to be a requirement because we didn't have a sewage treatment plant before. Then they spent all that money to build a modern sewage treatment plant out there.
Well, build it and they will come, and that's what the
Yeah.
whole thing was, and so now they're doing other
But they
things.
didn't finish the build.
They didn't finish it.
so what is the strategy on the tertiary plant?
Running trunk
And the
lines
water.
to all the facilities that need the,
And that's going to be betting on the come to some degree. It's going to be where is the right place to run a purple pipe so it has an outlet, so it would be marketable, so we could make it, again, there's a strategy involved.
Exactly, and that's what they should be working on, that's,
Okay.
we have brought it, you are hearing from us now, it's
Yes,
something that we need to go forward with,
fair enough.
so.
All right. So, we've talked about water, now we've talked about, wastewater and some of the options. One could surmise that that's a good option to have. At least you have something that is perhaps marketable there because you've got that plant even though it's not running right now. We talked about Parks and Rec, and at least the conclusion for those of you that arrived a little later, the conclusion was let's at least deal with the issue of Parks and Rec in Rosamond right now by letting the voters decide on a set of Parks and Rec related boxes, if you will, of taking care of the park, of the pool and Williford Park, and doing what's necessary to support the Parks and Rec Fund, and put that before the voters. But let the voters kind of construct what they're going to put, then, or let the community weigh into that, then put that before the voters, and if it passes, then make sure it's an equal payment for everyone across the city, because it's a common area park now. And then there'll be an actual Parks and Rec program or if it doesn't pass, be specific with what will happen to those that are paying now into that, and what will happen to that park. Just lay it out there. Let's not beat this around the bush. It's very important that we.
If you go to Boron, they don't have a public swimming pool. There are public swimming pools at the high school, junior high. And if we close this down here and maybe put an initiative to upgrade the high school, and put a swimming pool there, then it could double as the community pool during the summer months.
That could be
And,
one
you
of
know,
the
you could have a fallback
initiatives
option.
that spring off of that. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's a good idea.
That's got some potential as well. So we talked about that, and I hope I didn't muddle that for you that got here late. That people here were reasonably amenable to talking about what would go in a ballot initiative to support Parks and Rec. And that would be, at least according to what we're hearing in the district, that would be after the July strategic planning meeting, the next, perhaps sometime in the early
Could
fall.
we
we'll
get
start talking.
specifically where the money currently is coming from?
You have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
All that's got.
Exactly.
This
We would
is-
like to know, when they're looking at that strat plan, where the money's coming from, right today's dollars. You know?
It's
To
in there,
support the
it's
park.
gotta be in their overall budget. They
Well,
have, you
these
have to
people
list
will
all,
pass all kinds of
well, I
stuff.
know, but when
You know,
they're, you
And
gotta
the
start.
people that are already currently paying are just gonna keep paying.
We've got to run around every time we come to the meetings, we go twice a week, and there's nobody there except for him and my partner. We're the only two that show up. And we get this run around, just what we're talking about now. Okay, next meeting, and we don't hear more about it, we bring it up to him, okay, next meeting, we've been doing this for,
But it's in their accounting records where the source of funds is coming from and what it's for.
Right.
It's a given,
Yeah.
so if they're not
So it'd
sharing
be
it,
nice that it's in
it's-
black and white
that's right.
on the strat
That's
plan.
it.
So you want that,
So we don't have to go on, we'll have to research that later.
no,
Yeah.
it's there,
Yeah.
it's just gotta be made public,
The story must be clear.
yes.
Because it's just not, this is not a time to
Yeah,
beat
because
around the bush.
In
There's
essence,
a lot of
we
ways
have
to say
three
that, but-
parks, we have three agencies running three parks in this community. You got RCSD, you got the school district, and you got the county.
Yeah,
You got United Street Park, you got
School.
Williford Park, and then you got Glendower.
yeah,
That's the county.
right. And
It's, I mean, you know, that's
We
a
could-
little overkill, isn't it?
to talk
Yeah,
about
three
what
agencies.
the resultant plan should be and what people are voting for. And that's down the road some, but that where it goes away, perhaps is where we'll end up with that.
Well, it brings up a good point, though, we know the county isn't doing right by the current park that they are doing. I don't know what the school district is doing with United, but we know that this
What do you mean
one,
you don't know what we're doing with United?
what are you doing with United?
We're irrigating it
Okay, so that's what you're doing,
Irrigating and maintaining it.
and
maintaining it
Mowing it,
and mowing it. So the other thing is that we know that we're overspending with the current amount of funds that we have from Rosamond Community Service District to maintain Wilford, because we're not collecting enough money for it.
Right.
So, are you guys collecting money for United? Are you getting it through the school
We're
district?
getting it from, no, we're not collecting anything, and we're paying,
They get it somewhere, you don't have to worry about the school district.
But I can tell you right now, the county isn't spending a whole lot of money in our park, as you can see. They tell you, we'll be here once a month, we are doing 64 parks and blah, 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 blah. So, you know.
And they turned that one over to the Sharper Image too.
Well, and there again, I
County
think
did that.
I think that the county has the same kind of accounting records.
Yes.
And the math is reasonably clear
Yes, it is.
on how
How it is.
much they've got and how many acres they've got. And so, you know, they've got their own road to hoe. But again, they answer to the voters through the super, that's how it's supposed to work. And to the degree that you can influence that, you do what you can. But one county supervisor that's upset enough to, and you know, kind of works the magic to try to get more, that it probably won't happen unless somebody speaks up. But that doesn't, you know, there's a lot of constraints out there in this work. And that being said, I'm not going to make excuses for your county. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but I'm sure the story can be found. I'm almost positive.
Oh, it is. It's there.
And in graffiti, we talked a little bit about that, and your comments were, just be clear with it, that it's how it's funded and grants, or if they're spending ad valorem money on it. And are you all reasonably happy with the way they're dealing with it? I mean, are graffiti's issues being worked on a reasonable
go out to
basis?
50th, out to 60th, and I mean, when you leave here, take a look, yeah, they're not being able to take care of the graffiti problem.
But they
They're
were doing
they're
it-
tagging right off the freeway at the back of the house track, over by the mobile home park, and it's continuous. They tag it, they paint it, you know, RCSD paints it, or sandblast it, and the taggers come back.
Yeah, I know that.
They hit the park, they hit
Norris-
all, any walls they can. So,
I know it's an issue. Whether or not RCSD is doing, you know, is performing
I think they're doing the best they
best
can.
that they can.
Yeah.
They're doing the best they can with what they have, but
Tell you, every
I
time
think that's a
call them, they
necessity.
respond.
But,
yeah, every time I call, they
There's
respond.
actually a group in Rosamond that
Yeah,
takes out
private
a
group.
lot of the graffiti.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
and
I
that's,
don't really think the district should be involved in graffiti abatement myself at all. They have to handle all this other stuff. Graffiti abatement should be handled by the citizens, by this group that will
But-
volunteer.
but there was a lady who did it on her own, out of the goodness of her heart, and I know when she moved away from here, she gave a lot of the stuff that she had. I know because I collected money for her so she could continue that effort. I know there's other volunteers in the community also that are doing it. But I don't know if they have a hotline, but I do call Rosamond Community Service every time I see it, and they're good about going out and taking care of it. So I don't want to see it go away because it distracts from our community when there's graffiti all over the place. And that's what's been happening. So
it'd be
I
nice
do
to know
vote
what's
that we
the
should have
county's-
that.
What's the county's responsibility?
Well, good luck trying to call somebody from Bakersfield to come down here and do graffiti.
It'd be nice to find out what their responsibility is.
They can't even
They
take care of the
provide
parks.
rollers and paint and all that type of information or product to the people that work
Yeah.
doing
And
graffiti.
to the degree to which the community communicates on that particular issue is really important, because if the CSD, if the person who's responsible for that can call the volunteer, and then streetlights, we talked about that one pretty hard.
It's a tough subject.
It's a tough one, because you all have different situations relative to streetlights, and some of you have very strong opinions on one way and the other. But that's something, again, they're taking to the next level, perhaps. Let's not stop here at the fact that there were districts formed and there's some support for it in terms of money.
Well, they put that on their emblem.
Yeah.
What did they mean by streetlights?
Right.
You know, they're taking the money from us, you know, when it was $1 a month.
Behind that.
And we'd call them up to change the bulb and they would give the word to Edison.
Yeah.
But what does that mean to them now?
Okay.
Do they want to be a full maintenance agency that maintains from the ground up? To retrofit this? Well, we don't know.
Right.
But if they're going to be,
What's the next step in
we
the
want to
strategy?
know, is the money adequate right now?
So the interns.
Are they going to mess with our taxes again?
So an
Because
intern.
they've messed with it.
So an interim solution could be those that have lost them, we could sort of look into going solar and see how much they, what
Close to
expense that is.
6,000 apiece.
With
solar
and/or LED
streetlights?
lights,
The ones we got on Diamond
So-
Street were close to 6,000.
yeah.
And it wasn't that a grant money from the state?
No, the solar companies
So,
bought it.
solar company, so that was a
They're
president.
very generous. So that
For
could
not
be a
selling
way,
them tertiary
that
water.
could be a way for them to get those streetlights in there and for
I
us
think
to
we'd rather
maintain
they
them.
took our tertiary
Relatively.
treated water than,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
there we
know.
go.
It's a balance, you
Here,
know,
let's
but
trade
as
this,
was
trade
pointed
this,
out,
yeah,
there's,
Come
again, these,
January, we can start taxing the pot companies, right?
No, can't tax them.
Go ask for
So-
donations,
so
though,
cash.
you can ask for donations.
Gas business.
all right, so, again, the process proceeds that we're here this month to do these things, to try to work with the board individually and you all and the employees and try to, again, this is kind of a fact-finding mission for us. And then we'll have that workshop in July. After the workshop, then there's got to be these implementing actions that come out of the district office. And then the board has their second workshop to say, okay, that implementation plan is good. It answers these questions. We can see with all clarity where we're going to go into this, and we're going to begin this implementation. And then we believe that thereafter would start this Parks and Rec thing to determine the specifics of what is reasonable to put before the voters and what's not, if anything. And that's going to be another meeting or two or three like this to say, to try to get us around, put the right thing in front of the community relative to Parks and Rec, because that takes some time to make, we want to make sure that you all have input to that.
So as part of this, though, is we lay out this plan, we need to have an annual update on where they are with what we asked them to do, and what's left over, and what'll be on the next thing that we can see them get done, and we put them to those parameters that we want to see these done, and have you gotten there yet? That should be part of this whole thing.
It is.
Okay.
And it's part of the plan, to
Alright.
have a, how are you going to manage the plan? How are you going to perform maintenance on the plan? We recommend, and we recommended last time to them, that they annually update it to reflect the changes with everything that's going on here. I mean, there's so much that's going on, yeah.
You recommended it to them in the past,
Yes,
and we're repeating it now?
it was a different board then.
But we're
You
still
all
here,
have changed.
and we need to hold their feet to the fire. It's like, all right, we did this, you got all the community input, here's a strategic plan. How do we do the first year?
And yeah, right, exactly right. And then how does that adjust the rest of the plan?
Yes,
And then,
yes.
then you propagate the 5 years of planning forward.
Are you gonna be involved the whole time on this?
That's completely up to them. I'll be involved until they get a strategic plan, and it gets approved, and potentially on the Parks and Rec, the development of a Parks and Rec plan that would go before the voters.
So we can count on you here until at least October.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I would like you to.
That's our hope.
Then I would like to see us always recommend a citizens planning group that keeps them on their toes. And that could be a volunteers to the board, a supplement, like you, him, or whatever, whoever wants to volunteer, they take 6 people, and we actually keep them on their toes and say, all right, how are we doing, how we're going? Here's what some things we need to update. We can do these things ourselves, so.
Okay. If we're leaving anything out, if there's a rock we haven't turned over tonight, we need to hear it. Now's the time. How many flip charts do we have, Kristen? We have, wow.
8.
So you've been supportive of this. I appreciate that.
I have a couple more things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We've got room.
I do like that they have the e-waste machine, thing out here. It's very,
Okay.
I don't think it's well advertised, but you can throw anything that has a cord in it that doesn't work anymore into a bin out there. That's really quite nice.
5 days a week we can access that.
Well, you know what?
Well, during business
I
hours.
actually can keep it over the fence.
I
You
believe
just drive over to that
I
corner,
believe you.
so it works.
I think that's
It'd be
discouraged,
nice,
but, you know.
it'd be nice if we'd have a big,
That bin's big, you
it'd be
can't
nice to
miss
have a
it.
big,
If you
big
can hit it, yeah,
dumpster,
that's
you know,
it.
for big
You
items.
can
That's
shoot
Well,
it.
that brings up my next item.
All right.
Keep
You go
our
for it.
community clean, I would like to see the Rosamond community, in conjunction with our trash hauler, put something out there to collect trash at least once a year for National Make a Difference Day, or help our community
Just
stay
an
clean.
event.
Yeah, some events,
We
yes.
have a dump site.
Collection event.
Yeah, but they're using other places to dump
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff.
we've gone on his quads out there, out in the
Exactly.
field, and it's disgusting.
So,
And it's right
I
close
just
to
wanna
the
give
house.
them attaboy, that e-waste thing is great, I love it. Maybe we can expand that to once a
Very nice.
year, big dumpster thing out here, take anything.
But more than just for a day or two, have it for a month,
Something.
you
It's a
know,
lot of stuff.
so it'd be accessible to the people.
It's gonna think of it
There's a
this way.
cost, yeah.
When they have to get rid of it, it's gonna cost somebody, and it's not gonna be somebody else. I'm just saying.
Right. But I'm just putting it out there, it's like,
You know, look,
You're
anything
looking
the
long
community
range.
can do together
Yes,
and
yes.
support itself, the graffiti, the e-waste, the day or a weekend of bring it down here and we'll haul it off for you, boy, that's a, I don't know if they'll do that, but that's a thought.
I'm throwing it out there.
Fair enough.
They used to do it.
Yep,
Pardon me?
They used to do it.
Ah, okay,
You know, over in Bakersfield, if you live out in the community there, you just call up your trash company,
yeah,
and they'll come and get it. They'll tell you what day to put it out there at the curb.
yeah.
They'll pick up the large items for you.
Well, and if
Yeah.
the district
But
is working with
maybe
the trash hauler,
we
maybe
need
they'll
to
do
have
it here
that
too.
worked out and negotiated with bins.
you're doing a strategic plan, you want everything I've got, I'm laying out here for you,
Fair enough, thank you.
so.
Vince does a lot for Tasby.
Look at Rosamond's, just one of their biggest customers, we can do that too, so.
You might go into hauling water though, they're pretty great. Wow,
They
okay.
have to react like
Um,
commercial driver's license.
Is there anything else we can deliver to the board for you? And again, remember, the July meeting will be advertised, it'll be a meeting you'll hear about if you come to these meetings. You should be able to read about it in the paper, it'll be there, and it'll be a planning meeting that they'll spend 4, 5, 6 hours probably right in here with us, working on these things. So you can plan on spending 4 or 5 or 6 hours with us if you'd like that time too. It's a public meeting.
And we do appreciate Ms. Gatlin for putting those articles in the paper, so, thank you.
We do appreciate that. So, let's see, did we get some, I know you've got lots of pictures, but it's good for us to take a picture to prove to the district that some people did show up.